Hi, it's Steve with Nebraska Star Beef again, and today we're going to take a look at cattle nomenclature. Now, I'm sure we've all seen a beautiful lush green pasture full of cattle, and someone in the car has piped up and said, "Hey, look at the cows." Well, they may be cows, they may not. Today we're going to take a little deeper look into what cattle are, the different types of cattle, and where they fit into beef and dairy production. So if that sounds like something that interests you, come along for the ride. We're gonna have some fun. From early childhood, from the old MacDonald song, and on his farm he had a cow, okay? Well, old MacDonald probably had bulls and calves and other stuff too, right? What the cow was there to do was to produce calves and produce milk. Okay, and that's evolved from there, and now we have cows in beef production that are producing calves, and specifically calves, and we have dairy cows that produce milk. Okay, so the cow's role is to produce either calves for beef production or milk for human consumption. And down the road, when the cows get done being dairy cows, they will roll into the beef production stream, but that's a little different part of the conversation. To define what the role of the cow is in beef is most simply to produce calves or produce milk. Always a female, that is a cow. I think a lot of people know what a bull is, but they might not be exactly what you think they are. Bulls are the male element of genetics in beef production. They are intact males, and while people think, oh, hey, the bull and the cow are gonna go out in the pasture and make a calf, it doesn't really work that way in beef production. Artificial insemination has become much more prevalent, and it allows producers to select a genetic trait or a group of genetic traits from a bull and apply that broadly to the herd. So the overall uniformity of the calf crop is increased in a certain way that producer wants to affect that calf crop. So while bulls do tend to have generally a pretty long lifespan in beef production in their role, they're not necessarily out there raising cane in the pasture with the ladies like a lot of people think they might be. That's bulls. Calves are the progeny of a bull and a cow. Cows typically have one calf every year. Calving can happen in the spring and typically happens in the spring, kind of March-ish, give or take, late February through the first part of May, or it can happen in the fall, which is a little less common, but not uncommon. So cows will have one calf per year, and they will have a male calf or a female calf. The female calves are all referred to as heifers, and our heifers, they're either female calves or they're male calves. And we're going to get into what happens with male and female calves here a little deeper in the next section. But calves are the offspring of a bull and a cow. We're going to dovetail into what is a calf a little bit there. And what a heifer is a female calf. And a heifer is always a female calf. And a heifer is a heifer until that heifer goes back into the beef production cycle. Now, not all heifers go into the beef production cycle. Typically, the better animals, the ones that appear to have the genetic traits that producers are after, will keep some of those heifers back as replacement heifers, and then once they've bred, they become cows. Now, the heifers that are not bred, that go into beef production, remain heifers through the end of the production process until they turn into steaks and ground beef. So that is a heifer. So steers are calves that are born male, and then those calves are neutered and go into beef production. Steers still have, being born males, they still have more hormones that move them in the direction of efficient growth. So steers will typically put weight on faster than heifer calves, and for that reason they're typically viewed as the preferential animal for beef production, because they get bigger quicker, they tend to marble up a little better. So steers are typically perceived a little better for beef production than heifers, and virtually all steer calves, all male calves born, not every single one, a few will get held back to be bulls, but it's very few in comparison to the number of heifer calves that are kept back for replacement. So almost all calves that are born males will go back into beef production and become steers, and that typically happens very shortly after birth. So we jump back to that family vacation analogy in the big green pasture with cattle roaming around. Cattle can be any variety of bulls, cows, a group of animals that are all bovine can be cattle. And typically, unless you specifically know it's a pasture full of cows, the safer way to go is cattle. Cattle is kind of a catch-all term that covers beef animals, production animals, held dairy animals. Cattle is kind of the catch-all, you know, like if you see a group of people at the mall, there's a bunch of people over there. Cattle would be that same term. Cows, the difference between cows and cattle, cows are very specifically female animals whose role in life is to produce more calves or milk. So if you look at a bunch of animals and say, oh, hey, there's some cows, well, be careful if you have somebody that's in beef in the car with you, you're probably gonna get corrected. Probably. So where does Nebraska Star Beef fit into all of this beef nomenclature that we're talking about? What we do at Nebraska Star Beef is we're specifically interested in finishing animals the best that we can finish animals. And that's bringing in steer and heifer calves at around 700 pounds, and then feeding them a highly nutritious vegetarian diet that is designed to work with their ruminant stomach system to help them put weight on in an efficient manner while remaining healthy throughout that process, to create the highest quality beef that we can create. That's 100% where we're at. We're definitely the most familiar with steers and heifers from about 700 pounds to about 1,350 to 1,450 pounds. All right, well that's our little talk on beef nomenclature. Hopefully it shed some light on the topic for you. You know, it's one of those things that is beef people, we just kind of grin and shake our heads a lot of times, and it was a fun topic for us to cover. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. You know, hit the like button, it all helps us out. And we'll be dropping these videos once a week, just a little kind of informal video until we're able to roll that into a podcast is kind of the direction we're planning on going. But until then, hope you have a great week. We'll see you again next week, and eat a steak.